This is the No More Wasted Days podcast, and we're your hosts, Sarah Kaufman Bradstreet
and Heather PG. Grab your favorite NA drink and listen as we share vulnerable stories so you never feel alone on your alcohol-free journey.
And gain insights from us as we break down our most used tips and strategies that have kept us alcohol-free.
It's time to break free from wasting any more of your days to the drinking, blackout, hangover cycle.
Welcome to another episode of the No More Wasted Days podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sarah.
I'm Heather.
And we are super stoked to come to you today with another episode. We're going to be talking about myths about alcohol, and we will be busting those myths.
Yes.
We'll do 3 today, and I'm thinking if people like this, we can keep coming up with more myths because there's a lot of them up there.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, I think you will. I know I was looking at the notes. I was like, oh, Heather will have fun listening to these and chiming in. And I was like, we should be jotting down different things. And as I was doing the notes for this, I was like, oh my gosh, that can be a whole topic right there. We need to get that into our list. So it's going to spur a lot of awesome thoughts for the listeners, for us. So I'm excited about it. All right, before we dive in, do you have any life updates? Any stories to share with us these days?
I always have something to say, and for the sake of time and rambling, I think I'll just get right to the myths.
Okay. I was going to share one big thing with our listeners. As you know, I'm building a house and we did get our temporary certificate of occupancy. And yesterday we moved our daughter into her bedroom. So
Yes.
yeah, it's a big moment. She's been living in a yurt with her brother for the past 3 years. So it was pretty cool to finally see all of her stuff. And she had a little space in the yurt, but my goodness, it was tiny. And she's a crafty gal. So she's ready to spread out, have room for all of her stuff. And I think our son will be moved in by the end of next week, no problem. So it's a pretty cool upgrade for our family.
Congratulations.
And the fact that we've done this all without alcohol sometimes blows my mind, but also makes me go, there's no way we could have even done this as drinkers. But I am ready to see the end of this house build. It's like I'm ready to see it and do some kick-ass stuff with No More Wasted Days and just keep bringing more and more content to all of you because the house build takes up a lot of time.
I can't imagine.
Before we dive into the main topic too, I just want to remind you the Daymakers community is always open to you. You can join for a 7-day trial. The link to do that is always in the show notes. And when you join, you'll be able to see what the message thread is all about. And you'll be able to hop onto a weekly group coaching call and see what you think. And even if the weekly group coaching calls don't work with your time, we always send out a recording. So you can have Heather and I in your ear and even ask us questions and you'll get real-time responses. So it's a pretty cool place to be.
Come on, y'all.
All right, here we go. Diving into the myths. Okay, myth number 1. I think this was my biggest worry when I quit drinking. Alcohol makes you fun.
Survey says it does not.
Right? Oh my gosh. I thought alcohol made me so fun. And I thought if I quit drinking, I won't be fun anymore. My life will be no fun. I will be no fun. And it will just be the end. Like, this is really what I thought. Did you have this thought or was this not one for you? This is not one for everyone.
This was not one for me. I was 40 with a newborn and isolated from the pandemic. So
Yeah.
it wasn't, but I could totally see how it would have been before or after those circumstances.
Yeah, I could see in the pandemic that it would just be a change because I had quit drinking before then. And it was interesting to me because I was just at the point where I was really ready to be like, let's start socializing again. Like I got this alcohol-free thing down and I was socializing before then, but I will say I really had control over it. And I was like, all right, I'm ready to start hanging out with people. And then all of a sudden the world shut down. And I was like, all right, I guess not.
Just kidding.
I guess I'm ready to keep being an introvert. But anyway, some of the realizations I came to when I finally took a break from alcohol, because you guys have to remember that I told myself, I'm not quitting forever. I will take a break and I will see what alcohol-free life is like, and I will leave that door open. If I want to go back to it, I can, but I'm going to go all in on this and just really give it an honest look. I had tried life with drinking. I had not tried life without drinking. So, in just those 30 days, I started to see that I make myself fun. Alcohol doesn't make me fun. And that's one thing I've got to tell people: stop giving alcohol so much power.
Yeah.
Stop making yourself think that it's the end all be all, because it's not.
And it may make you feel like you're having more fun. And on the other side of that, when I have been around people who are drunk, they were not fun as a sober person. No.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, that's a whole thing we can talk about too on this one. And then another realization I started to have was I was fun in middle school and high school, and I was not a drinker in middle school, and I really didn't drink very much in high school. And I was still fun. People still liked me. People still I think my big thing was it's a huge pillar of my personality. I want people to perceive me as fun. I want them to perceive me as funny. So it was just this big, big thing for me. And when I started to look back and I was like, people perceived you that way in middle school, people perceived you that way in high school.
Mm.
That means you can still be fun without alcohol. So think back to a time in your life when you were fun and you weren't drinking and go, okay, I still got it. I can bring that back up.
Yeah. When you first told us that when I was at the beginning of my journey about like high school and middle school and fun, I was like, oh, yeah, I've been fun my whole life. I just was actually dulled and drunk a lot of my adult life.
Yeah, which segues perfectly into the truth. If we bust this myth, the truth about alcohol is that it is a depressant. That means it slows you down. Yes, it will give you a little boost of dopamine that makes you feel all fuzzy for a second, and then it will start dulling you down. And because it slows you down, it slows down your wit. It slows down your reaction time to what other people are saying. It
Mhm.
slows down your speech. That's why we start to slur. And if all those things are slowed down, that's making you less fun, which Heather was
Yeah.
talking about. Like when you're around people who are drinking, they're not fun.
Right. And on the other side, like I am far more quick witted and I think things are deeply more funny. Like truly.
And isn't it the best that you remember what you were laughing so hard at the next
Yes.
day? Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So many of my gratitudes in my gratitude journal are, oh, that was so funny when so and so did this, or oh, laughing so hard with my sister, and actually remembering why we were laughing the next day. Like it is so true. And I don't mean to belittle people who drink and that is their form of fun. I know when I said being around drunk people isn't fun. I will say being around people who are socially drinking and are actually responsible drinkers, which I don't quite understand.
Right.
There are people that I'm with and they're having one drink. I don't notice a difference in them. They can have 2
Yeah.
drinks and I don't notice a difference. But it is more when you're around people who are getting sloppy drunk, that's only fun if you're sloppy drunk with them.
That's what I was referring to. Like, I have some friends that can have a couple and they're wonderful. And then there are people who are like me who are just wasted and I'm not. It's just not that fun. So thank you for clarifying
Yeah,
that.
no, well, sometimes I get the trolls coming after me being like, "Ooh, you're so mean to drinkers." I'm like, I'm sorry, that was worded incorrectly." It's never my intention. So tips to navigate situations where you rely on your humor, because that was something I had to really learn. Or not even where you're relying on your humor, but you're relying on that boost of false confidence that you used to get from alcohol. These are things that I really had to work on so I would know I'm still fun. I can still do this. The first one, I just want you to remember that it's maybe awkward in a new situation for a moment or two, but you'll ease into it and you'll find your groove. And I always think about when I was a kid, I'd get together with all my cousins at Thanksgiving. Every year, we'd all get together on Thanksgiving. And these were people that I didn't see all the time. They lived 8 hours away from me. They all knew each other, but I wasn't with them all the time. So it was awkward when we'd first show up. You'd stand there being like, what do we even talk about? But probably 20 minutes into it, it was like we'd been together forever and we were just back into having fun. And it really is that period of time. There's just a period of time where you have to loosen up, and you can watch it in kids. They do this, even little kids when they're first together, they take a moment to warm up and it's just
Mhm.
normal. And then when you
Yeah,
do, it's like, "Oh my gosh, you're having fun."
and other people, like adults too, like, just be observant, and I think we have a microscope on ourself,
Mhm.
and I normally always suggest turn inward. In this case, turn outward and pay attention, and you'll probably be like, "Well, they're not doing it." They are on the inside, I bet.
Yeah, exactly. Even when people look like they're super calm and not feeling awkward, they might be. You never know.
I get told I'm the calmest person ever, and on our last episode, I said, "I wish somebody would step on me with a pointy high heel than feel feelings."
I was
So
just thinking that with my "I'm easy breezy."
mhm, yeah. "Oh, I'm fine."
Oh, I'm doing great. The other tip, if you're navigating a situation where you're like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be a little bit awkward." I love this saying, "Be interested, not interesting." And what that means is ask other people questions and be interested in what they're doing. And if you don't, some people are like, well, that is scary to ask other people questions, then just listen. Sit,
Mhm.
listen for a second, and you'll find something you want to interject on. And I can't tell you, this is the best tip ever because people love talking about themselves.
Yes, I
So,
do.
oh my gosh, be like, what do you do for work? And you know what? And if you get stuck with a dud and they're giving you one word answers, then it's just your cue to move along.
Yeah, I love that. I love to ask questions. I like to learn about a lot of things, and that's a great tip. Just ask questions.
Have a little handful of questions that you know you can always ask people, like, what do you do for work? What did you do today? Like, what was your favorite part of today? Somebody will be like, that's a pretty good question. That'll be a fun one to
Mhm.
answer. Do you like animals? Like, just think of, I mean, these can be super generic, but they will get the ball rolling. So, have a handful of 5 generic things you ask people when you're in a situation like this, and you'll find that it leads to possibly deeper conversation and deeper connection.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah. There was one other thing I was going to say on that. It's just to remember with the be interested and not interesting. Everybody, like Heather was saying, is feeling awkward. So when you can take that away from somebody, what a gift. And when you can ask questions and then they're not feeling awkward, it's just such an awesome thing. And it puts you almost in this act of service of being like, you know what? Everybody's feeling awkward today. I'm going to go in and make people feel not awkward. And it almost takes the pressure off of you because I know it sounds like, well, that's a lot of pressure. No, it's like, okay, I'm gonna be the person who's like lightens the mood, gets people talking, and makes them feel not so in their head about themselves.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
All right, we are on to myth number 2. I feel like there should be some sorta music right
So
here.
yeah, definitely, especially this one.
Oh my gosh. Okay, myth number 2, this was a biggie for me too. Alcohol is good for you. I wish you could hear me and Heather shaking our heads no, because we both did. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I believed this and I feel
Mhm.
stupid for
Me too.
believing it. But there are so many articles out there that state that alcohol has health benefits. I just got to tell you this right now. They're lies. Alcohol's not good for you. And
Yep.
if you tell your doctor that you don't drink, they never say, "Well, why not? If you have 1 or 2 drinks a day, it's going to help you."
Mhm.
That never happens. Now, granted, the doctors also don't always applaud when you tell them you don't drink, so if they could change that, that'd be great if you're a doctor and you're listening. We do want a parade when we mark 0 drinks each week.
Yes, we do.
So if you could
I do.
organize that, I do.
Yeah.
But it really is it's silly the articles that are out there. Like one for me was that wine had antioxidants in it
Mhm.
because it's made of grapes.
Right, eat grapes.
Yeah, so go ahead and eat the grapes, guys. Don't eat the fermented grapes. And I would hear things like beer is fermented, and which it is, and fermented things are good for your gut health. So I would drink more. I'd be like, oh, if kombucha is good for your gut health, then beer is also fermented. It must be good for your gut health. I wouldn't hear that and go, okay, antioxidants in it. So one glass here and there is okay for you. I would hear wine has antioxidants in it, drink a lot so you can get
Right.
more. Like, obviously, that's a thing in my brain.
Same. Or when people are like, 1 glass of red wine is good for your heart. Now,
Yeah,
my glass was huge. I think the glass that they're referring to is what's called a proper pour, which if I had to guess is like an ounce.
right? Oh, God, that's nothing.
I don't really know that. Clearly, I wouldn't know that, but it's a tiny amount. Just have the grapes.
Yeah. One thing you'll find when you do a little bit of research, a lot of these articles are created by what we call big alcohol. So it's the people who own the alcohol companies, and
Mm,
they really want you to drink their harmful product. And they're like,
yeah.
how can we get them? Oh, if we can get one teeny tiny piece of evidence and we can write an article about it,
Mhm.
yes, people will drink more of our product.
Yep.
So it's just like, oh my gosh. Well, we're gonna bust this for sure for you. It's pretty easy to bust this one, but alcohol is not good for you.
No.
Not even one glass of wine. There's starting to actually be a lot more studies now that say not even a little bit is good for you. A little bit is actually damaging. It's starting to become like the new cigarettes, right? But it's straight up ethanol and they add flavoring so you'll actually want to drink it. There you go, which is just like, oh my gosh. And when if you're like straight up ethanol, that's the stuff you put in your car, just so
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa. When I knew that, I was like, okay, that's enough for me.
Yeah. Sierra, when you talk about picturing yourself holding the gas nozzle and drinking from the gas nozzle, that's not healthy.
No, it's just not gonna help you, right? So just kind of think about it too. Think about the first time you drank alcohol. Was it actually tasty or did you make a weird face and think, oh, that's gross? I was the second side. I was like, oh my God.
And people say it's an acquired taste, right?
Yes, and then that's what you're told. I was told as a kid, I got to taste my dad's beer or my dad's whiskey, and I would just be like, "Oh my god, this is disgusting." And he would say, "You'll like it when you're an adult." And I'm like, "What if we just change that?" Like, "Oh, it
Yeah.
actually tastes bad because it's poison and your body's trying to
Right.
tell you, don't drink this. This tastes like crap for a
Yeah.
reason."
Yeah.
So, it's just your body trying to let you know this isn't good. So actually hold on to that. Really, this is a myth that I needed busted. I really needed to be awakened in this area. So I'll spend a little bit more time on this one just so you know. But alcohol creates an unhealthy zone in your body. One area it does that is your gut health. And alcohol consumption alters the balance of your gut microbiome. And I feel like gut health is a big buzzword these days, but I also think it's just because we're learning more about the human body the farther along we go. But alcohol increases the growth of harmful bacteria while it reduces the beneficial bacteria. And then this imbalance can lead to inflammation and damage to the intestinal lining, which is commonly referred to as leaky gut. And if you don't know what leaky gut is, because I didn't before I did this research, it allows harmful substances to enter the bloodstream, causing various health issues. That doesn't sound good.
It's
Like,
not. I worked at a hospital forever, and when you have somebody coming in with leaky gut, I'll spare the details, but it's bad.
it sounds awful. And I mean, you don't have to be the person at the leaky gut side, right? You don't have to be that far into it. But just know that it's not doing all that bacteria any good. And you need that bacteria to be in a good balance. And I feel like we talk about this so much. Your gut health is like your second brain, people say. If your gut health is off, then you're not working correctly. So take away alcohol and it'll help so, so much.
And think about how you feel when you have a hangover in your digestive system, and I'll just leave that there, right?
Right? Yeah, it's a disaster. And, along with this, it throws off so many of your organs' functions, and then your body can't do its job efficiently. Like, we need our body to be able to do its job, but it can't because we're creating this little zone where disease wants to grow. So
Mhm.
it affects your brain, your heart, liver, pancreas, digestive system, and immune system.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Circulation, I mean, your whole body.
whole body gets thrown off when you're consuming alcohol and even one glass, you guys. And I know people are like, why don't you have just one glass? This is the reason. Like, this myth being busted for me is the reason why I'm like, because my body doesn't need it to function. So why put it in there, right?
That's a really good perspective, I like that.
And then the increased cancer risk that comes along with it, which I didn't know as
Yep.
a drinker. And I feel really stupid about that because I feel like I'm always on this quest to be like, I'm going to keep living as long as I can. I'm going to try to do what what the research says to make my body a healthy place. But alcohol consumption increases the risk of various cancers, including mouth, throat, liver, breast, and colon.
These numbers are staggering. I encourage you to do your research. And from a breast cancer survivor diagnosed at about 100 days alcohol free, please talk to your doctor, get informed however you choose. And if you have breasts, go get them checked.
Yes, once a year. It's a great thing to do.
Yep.
Even my crappy insurance covers it, guys. So
Yeah.
you, you guys can, everybody can get out there and do that one. And just know too that the risk is higher with long term heavy drinking. But I also don't want people to be like, okay, well, the risk is higher with long term heavy drinking. So I'll just have one. If you're a person like me, like Heather, where one was never enough. No,
Hmm.
one was, what's the saying? Help me out.
One was one too many, one more was never enough.
Yeah, it's that whole you can just never get enough once you start. If you know you're that person, this just isn't for you, right? Okay, so now I've done the scare. I'm over here fear mongering. I hope that's not what you take this as. But we're going to talk about you can repair this. Like so don't
Mhm,
feel like, "Oh shit, I've been drinking for a while. Now I've got to fix this." And this is gonna, I've just done the damage. There's nothing. No, you haven't. I was a smoker for a long time and I did the research on like how long does it take your lungs to get back to where they were before you were a drinker. And the body is amazing and
mhm.
it will work to get back to its healthy state. So the first step, quit drinking. It's simple, but I just had to throw that one in there. If you're still drinking and you're listening to this and you're going, oh my gosh, okay, well, this could be your sign. The next one is drink a lot of water to rehydrate yourself. We talk about it as a way to stave off cravings, but also alcohol dehydrates your body. So you may find that you're super dehydrated when you quit. And for me, I was like, I can't get enough water in that first week. I was so thirsty. So hydrate and it will help increase energy. It aids in better sleep. And like I said, if you're all in balance like that, it's keeping your cravings at bay. I know water is your jam, isn't it, Heather?
It really is, and when I was on chemo, I had to get IV fluids, and they ran out because of COVID, I guess, and I went to, like, the hydration station, and I'm sharing this because I don't want y'all to have to keep going to this because you're chronically hungover like the folks that I saw. I'm not judging, I'm
Mhm.
just saying, and it can replenish to give you a heads up on your alcohol-free journey.
Yeah. And then the next thing with that gut health that I was talking about, start doing your research on healthy food that can reset your gut biome. There's drinks out there, there's food. Just think what's fermented. And if you start looking up fermented foods, you're going to find out kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, my favorite, apple cider vinegar. Some people do apple cider vinegar shots. I'm just like, you could just drink kombucha, it tastes better.
Mhm.
Or yogurt is actually a fermented food. So it's like, oh, okay, well, that's pretty good. A little bit of berries in there, and then you're all set for the day. So just really think about those things and getting that gut biome reset. If you're feeling like you have serious issues, talk to a doctor, but these are things you can do on your own to just get the ball rolling. And the last thing is start thinking about eating foods that are actually high in antioxidants, not wine, and foods that are really nutrient dense. And I know I say this all the time shop the perimeter of the grocery store. It's going to help so much. But eat a lot of vegetables, fruit, healthy grains, and carbs. Please don't be afraid of carbs. Like go eat some quinoa and brown rice. Eat white rice. I don't care. Yams, old fashioned oats, and oatmeal. I say yams because sweet potatoes are different than yams. I was like, I feel like in my 30s when I realized that,
I'm from the South, and we call them sweet potatoes, whether they're yams or not.
or sweet potatoes.
Sad. Huh.
I feel like I was grocery shopping and I got quote unquote sweet potatoes and they were white when I got home. And I was like, what the hell are these? So
Interesting.
if you're wondering why yams, I feel like people don't call them that much, that often. But just really think about those nutrient dense foods. Try to get more of them than less of them. Sometimes I do a quick check over my day and I go like, how many vegetables did I eat? And sometimes I'm like, oh, not very many. Like, okay, well, let's do better tomorrow. Oh, and Heather, you mentioned smoothies.
Yes. Put the chia seeds in your smoothie if you can't find a place to put them or think of it, or mix them in with your yogurt and some oats.
Hmm.
That's really helpful.
Yeah. because chia seeds are high in omega fatty acids, and that's going to restore brain function. So get those chia seeds, put them into your smoothie. They don't really have a taste in the smoothie that I can tell, but they will thicken it. So sometimes it's like a drink it faster rather than slower. But you can also mix in flax seeds. They do have to be ground up for your body to absorb them, but if they're in a smoothie, they are. Walnuts, put them on your oatmeal, so yummy. And salmon is another one. So if you like salmon, go for it. Salmon definitely has a distinct flavor that some people do not care for.
Yeah. I mean, like, I eat like an old man from the South. And rare instances will you hear me say, if I can do it, you can do it. This is one of those instances.
Yeah, it's the changing those habits, and it can feel really overwhelming. And speaking from someone who I was very, very healthy with my eating, but also very restrictive. And when we
Hmm.
moved, I had to, like, I didn't have to, but easier food was just easier. Like eating rice roni for dinner, that was easier, but at least it fed my family. And now I'm having to kind of relearn stuff. So if you're overwhelmed by that, don't worry. We all are a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go into myth number 3, I want to remind everybody that you can do one on one coaching with Heather.
Yes.
And she works with people at all different levels on their alcohol free journey. Heather, do you work with people who aren't even on their alcohol free journey, or is it
Yes.
your primary focus?
Yes. So I work with folks primarily who are exploring their relationship with alcohol. And I work with folks who are going through tough relationships, wanting to make a change in their life. So I work with a lot of other life transitions as well.
Yeah. So check that out. I know sometimes you can think one on one coaching is going to be super expensive, but we have tried to price everything so it's affordable and you can try it out and decide if it's a good fit for you.
Yeah, I would love to connect with you.
All right, we're ready. Myth number 3. Bum bum. That's my music. That's what you get. Bum bum. All right. We're getting batty over here. You'll lose friends if you quit drinking. It's not the case. Oh my god. I can't even tell you. So I do little TikToks where I point to the words and
Hmm.
I'll do the 7 things I lost when I quit drinking. And I'll point to like hangovers, blackouts, anxiety, belly bloat, all the crappy things. And without fail, the trolls in the comments are going, all of your friends, all of your friends, all of your friends. That's the comment, right? And I'm just like, okay, so let's bust this myth because I was super worried I'd lose all my friends. And I don't have a lot of friends. I have a small friend circle. I'm a quality over quantity person because I'm an introvert. So friending takes a lot out of me. So I have to know that I really like the people. And I thought, oh God, my circle is so small. If they all ditch me, I won't have anybody. But what actually happened, I did lose some friends. Okay. I'm going to be real with you right now. Turns out they were just acquaintances, they were
Hmm.
drinking buddies. And I think we're meant to grow and change our circles.
Yeah. I am an ambivert, like somewhere in between an introvert and an extrovert. And the friends that were good time Charlies that I'm no longer really connected with, there wasn't like a friend breakup or conflict, made room for the people who I believe are supposed to be in this season of my life.
Yes, exactly. And the good time Charlies, I love that saying by the way. You can still be friends with them. I'm still acquaintances, friends with a lot of people. They're just not a priority anymore because I did kind of figure out that the main thing we had in common was alcohol. So, if I saw him, I wouldn't be like, "Oh no, my enemy." I would
Right.
I would be like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like
Yeah.
it's just things change and shift. But what I will say is my other relationships strengthened. My
Hmm.
running partner at the time, who I thought more of as an acquaintance as a drinker, became my best friend. And it's interesting that I always thought she was an acquaintance because when you run 5 miles with someone each week, you talk about deep stuff.
Or they hear me cussing for sure.
You know the ins and outs of that person, and you see them at their worst and you see them at their best. So whenever I say, "Oh, we were acquaintances," it just meant we didn't hang out outside of our runs, and we started to when I quit drinking. My sister and I hang out now, and it's not all me focusing on us drinking because I was the instigator, the little sister instigator. Now we get to talk and we remember it the next day. My husband and I started talking through issues instead of letting them fester as we drank to cover them up because it was easy to just drink to cover things up. And the biggest one, and this actually happened during the pandemic because my dad kind of started it, but drinking me never would have kept this going. I started texting my parents daily. My dad started a family text thread and we all text each other each day. And I'm just gonna like drinking me would have let that slide. And drinking me didn't call my parents. I didn't text my parents. I talked to my parents like on my kid's birthday, on their birthday. And now it's just so much better. And I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, that's definitely something to be proud of. And one thing that I've really learned since I quit drinking was it's not that I don't like people or that I don't trust people per se. I'm just more selective of who I share energy with.
Yeah, that leads in perfect to the next thing I was going to say, which is the added perk of my friend finder is so much more dialed in now.
I love Friend Finder.
Yeah, right? Were you a person who made best friends with random people at the bar?
Of course.
Oh, so was I.
Of
It's
course.
like
And if they were like a drag queen or and had a traumatic story,
you were there.
I was so there and don't remember their name or what the story was.
Yeah. My husband, there were a few times where he'd be going, "We need to go." And I'd be
Mhm.
like, "But I'm talking to my new best friend." Like, I probably didn't say that. I might have said that. Okay.
I probably did.
And he would have to kinda look at me and be like, "We gotta go." And I would see the, like, "Oh, this person isn't my best friend," in his eyes, like, maybe he could see the, this isn't it," or, "You are annoying the shit out of this person," because there were also a few of those instances
Mhm.
where I was like, "I'm your best friend, and I'm gonna talk your ear off," and the person's clearly giving signals that, they don't wanna talk to me. So I'm just happy that that is fixed. And I also just see people pretty quickly for who they are and if they fit into my values. And I can be like, oh, that person's just talking about people. They're being snarky. They're talking about petty things. I can just hear it more quickly. And when I
Mhm.
was drinking, I could let a lot slide.
Right. And then you wouldn't remember it. And then it's like 50 first dates all over again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, totally. So just really I think the busting that myth you have to take on for yourself that you're not going to lose friends. But I just have to tell you it's really not going to happen. So, I'd love to hear if you guys liked this episode. If you do, tell us on social media. Be like, do more of the myth busting episodes.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, because as I was doing this one, I was like, oh, here's another myth. And I was like, let's keep it around 30 minutes here, Sarah.
Yeah, I love myths and busting them. So I would love to do a part two. So let us know, y'all. And this was so fun for me. I forgot we were recording several times.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's always a bonus too.
Just chit chatting. So,
Yeah.
if you liked this as much as me and Heather enjoyed recording it, be sure to subscribe and rate and review. And sharing with a friend is super helpful as well. So if you've been a listener for a while and you haven't hit that subscribe button or you haven't hit the stars, because I have a few podcasts like that that I've been listening to for years.
Me too.
And I was like, oh, I gotta rate this because I love these people.
I got to do that today. I've got to confess. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Please, rating is it's really helpful to podcasters and we love bringing you this free content and it's just a super easy way to support us.
Yeah.
And if you haven't already, be sure to check us out on social. We're both on social media and the links are always in the show notes. And check out the links in the show notes to one-on-one coaching and the Daymakers.
Yeah. Do it. All right. We'll be in your ear next week. Bye, y'all.